All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are jumping right into something huge, the game-changing negotiation secrets from a guy who literally talked people down for a living, former FBI hostage negotiator Chris Voss, and his incredible book, Never Split the Difference. Voss's whole point is that pretty much everything you do is a negotiation. Think about it. Buying a car, that's a negotiation. Asking for a raise, definitely a negotiation. Trying to get your kids to go to sleep on time, oh, you better believe that's a negotiation. And he says the person who really gets the game, they're the one who wins. So if life is a game, how do you win it? Well, most of us have been told to use logic, right? To be the most rational person in the room. But here's the kicker, and this is Voss's first big lesson. Those old rules we've been following for decades, they're totally, fundamentally broken. And the whole thing really boils down to this one single assumption. You see, the old school way of thinking, the stuff they teach at places like Harvard, is all built on the idea that we're these super rational, logical beings. But what Voss figured out in those life or death situations is that we're not. We are emotional, impulsive animals first and foremost. And getting that, well, that's the real key to everything. And there's actually some cool science to back this up, from the psychologist Daniel Kahneman. Basically, our brains have these two systems running. You've got System 1, which is like your fast, gut-feeling, emotional animal brain. Then there's System 2, your slow, careful, logical brain. But here's the thing. System 1, that emotional brain, is almost always in the driver's seat. System 2 is just along for the ride. So if you're only trying to persuade with logic, you're talking to the passenger, not the person who's actually steering the car. Okay, so if the emotional brain is the driver, how in the world do you talk to it? Well, this is where Voss's secret weapon comes in. He calls it tactical empathy. Now, this isn't about being fluffy or nice, and it's definitely not about agreeing with the other person. It's about understanding where they're coming from, so deeply that the whole negotiation shifts from being a battle to being an act of discovery. All right, let's see how this stuff works in the real world. And I mean the real world. Picture this, a Chase Manhattan Bank in Brooklyn. A couple of robbers storm in. They pistol whip a security guard. One of them shoves a gun in a teller's mouth and pulls the trigger on an empty chamber. We're talking about a super desperate, incredibly high-stakes situation here. So what's the first tool the negotiators pull out? It's something called mirroring. And honestly, it is so simple, it's almost funny. But Voss says it's the closest thing you'll find to a real-life Jedi mind trick. All you do is repeat the last 1 to 3 critical words the other person just said. That's it. It sends this subconscious signal that says, hey, I'm listening, I get you, we're on the same page. Sound too simple to be true? Well, check this out. There was a study where waiters just mirrored their customers' orders by repeating them back. The result? Their tips went up by a whopping 70%. 70? It just works because it builds this invisible bond of trust without even anyone realizing it. Okay, so mirroring is great for building rapport. But what about when you need to diffuse some serious tension? Let's take another case. Picture a high-rise apartment in Harlem. 3 fugitives, armed to the teeth, are barricaded inside after a shootout. And for 6 straight hours, nothing. Just dead silence. Now, instead of shouting demands through a megaphone, Voss and his team do something completely radical. They stop talking about what they want, and they start talking about what the fugitives must be feeling. They get on the phone and say something like, "It seems like you guys don't want to go back to jail." This technique? It's called labeling, and it works like magic, because when you give a name to someone's emotion, you actually dial down its intensity. It's wild. Brain scans actually show that when you label a fear, the activity in the brain's fear center, the amygdala, goes down, and the rational part starts to light up. You are literally calming them down just by calling out what they're feeling. And the process couldn't be simpler. You spot an emotion, you give it a name, starting with something soft like, "it seems like," or "it sounds like," and then you just watch the tension melt away. Back in that Harlem apartment, after about 6 hours of this, the fugitives just gave up, peacefully. That right there is the power of a label. So once you start building this trust with empathy, you open the door to the next idea. And let me tell you, this one is probably the most counterintuitive thing in the whole book. It's going to flip the script on everything you thought you knew about getting to a yes. Think about it. What's the one word we're all trained to be afraid of in any negotiation? I mean, from the moment we can talk, we're taught to chase yes. We build these elaborate arguments and sales pitches, all designed to corner someone into saying yes. But Voss says all that pressure, it just puts people on the defensive. The word we should actually be looking for is no. Yep, you heard me right. No. Because for Chris Voss, no isn't the end of the conversation. It's where the real negotiation actually begins. So why? Why no? Because when someone says no, they feel safe. They feel like they're in control. It lets them drop their guard and relax. And that's the moment they can actually start listening to you. No isn't a rejection, it's a tool. It's how you gather information and build trust on your way to a real, solid yes. Okay, so you've made it safe for them to say no. What's next? Well, now you need a way to gently guide them toward your way of thinking, but without starting a fight. And that breakthrough tool, it all comes down to changing one little word. So we're all guilty of this one, right? Asking a question like, can you lower the price? It feels direct, but it's actually a trap. It's a yes or no question, and it instantly puts the other person on the defensive. It's basically a head-on collision. But what if, instead, you ask something like, how am I supposed to do that? See the difference? Suddenly it's not a yes or no anymore. It's an open-ended question. You're asking for their help. You're not saying no to their offer. You're inviting them to become your partner in solving your problem. These are what Voss calls calibrated questions. And their secret sauce is that they give the other person the illusion of control. And think about it. When a solution feels like it was their idea, they're going to work way harder to make it happen. It's so important to remember this. A yes means absolutely nothing if you don't know how. All right, so we've got empathy. We've mastered no. And we know how to ask how. All of this leads us to the book's single biggest, most provocative, and most important idea. We are all taught from day one that compromise is good, right? That splitting the difference is the fair thing to do. But take a look at this hilarious example from the book. A husband wants to wear brown shoes. The wife wants him to wear black shoes. So they compromise, and he wears one brown shoe and one black shoe. Is that a good outcome? Heck no. It's ridiculous. It's the worst possible result. Literally anything else would have been better. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, compromise is usually just the lazy way out. It's an escape hatch we use to avoid the really hard work of digging deep and finding a truly creative solution. That hidden gem of a deal that's actually better for everyone. The best deals are never found by just meeting in the middle. And so here it is, the ultimate takeaway. Don't you dare settle for a bad deal just because it's the easy thing to do. Use that tactical empathy. Master the word no. Ask how. And go find out what's really possible. So the next time you're in a negotiation, I want you to ask yourself, am I looking for the easy way out, or am I willing to do the work to find the best deal? Never split the difference.